good selection, really, to give us a little comfort, and not only that, to let us know the need for each other. And certainly I thank God that I do need you, and you need me. Amen. Amen. So God bless you. At this time, let us bow. God, we thank you certainly for bringing us to where we are. We do pray right now that you will use us, so God, that we can be your vessel in which your word will go forth, and that we can certainly do your will. So God, use us now that your people will be blessed, and that even as a sinner that can be convinced, just knowing that Jesus is real. So God, bless us, use us now, and we'll give you all the praise in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Those that may have your Bibles, we invite you to look to the book of 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. We're going to look at verses 13 through 18, a very familiar passage of Scripture. Yeah. Amen. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verses 13 through 18. And if you have it, let us read together. But I would not have you to be ignorant, brethren, concerning them which are asleep, that ye sorrow not, even as others which have no hope. For if we believe that Jesus died and rose again, even so them also which sleep in Jesus will God bring with him. For this we say unto you, by the word of the Lord, that we which are alive and remain unto the coming of the Lord shall not prevent them which are asleep. For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of God, and the dead in Christ shall rise first. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Lord. Wherefore comfort one another with these words. Amen. And by way of the subject, we would like to talk about the power of his return. Amen. Amen. The power of his return. Amen. My friends, we have over the last 2 Sundays, and even including this Sunday, have heard about the return of our Savior. We have dealt with the promise of his return. We have dealt with the proof of his return. And now we examine the power of his return. And some might be wondering, Pastor, why have we been looking at the return of Jesus? Well, I do believe that verse 18 really says it all. It says, whereby let us comfort one another with these words. That comfort that Paul suggests is that we need to encourage one another that Jesus is returning. And one thing that I'm excited about is that it is going to happen. Because for one, to speak of power being related to the Lord's return is to assure us that something supernatural is going to take place. And we have to speak at it from that light because it is going to be a supernatural event. Because the text before us, it speaks well of something powerful that is going to take place when the Lord returns. Because I know I have said often that it seems as though the church is not excited about the visible return of Jesus. And I feel that this is a reminder through the Spirit that we need to be living as though Jesus is coming in a moment. Because I said the return of Jesus ought to be the most anticipated event that every believer is looking forward to. Because it is, to me, the highlight of our Christian journey. You know, everybody want to say highlights, and especially in the sports field, that when we look at the games, you know, when, you know, you got the NBA playoffs going on, and sometimes we want to see a highlight of a certain place, a certain thing that took place. And so, therefore, what about the believer? Shouldn't we expect this to be the highlight of all that we have been through? But not to keep us wondering or not knowing. Paul, and thank God for him, he presents and he answers concerns for those during his day, and even perhaps those of our day, who needed clarity concerning, as they say, the dead who died in the Lord. I think there's some of us sitting here who are wondering about mama and daddy, brother and sister who have confessed in Jesus. We are wondering, Lord, are they really going to be with you? And to put things this way, what will happen to them? That has been the dilemma that many are wondering, because some suggest that, you know, when you die, you go straight away to heaven. Amen. But when you look at this text tells us some things take place. Because one, they die in him. And that word die, as we understand, understand to be sleeping. And apparently the saints at Thessalonica were concerned about their loved ones. And I think some of us at times are concerned about those who have left us. Amen. But if they have died in Jesus, it ought to rest our minds. Listen, ought to give us assurance that they are okay. And so certainly in view of the facts that we have heard, what Paul suggests here is that he said the Lord is promising to come back. And thank God that Paul learned this, that Paul had even proof himself. Because some believe that when he had got beaten and left for dead, that he was given a heavenly vision. And he talked about being called up to a third heaven and seeing some things that he himself could not even explain. And so Paul, I do believe, was, amen, well qualified to discuss this matter, because even in this present day, there are some who are still wondering, when is Jesus coming back? Now one of the things I hear some be critical of us as preachers, they say, y'all been saying that for a long time. Amen. Why y'all keep telling us that Jesus is coming back? Well, because the scriptures declare that he is. Amen. We reminded you in Acts chapter 1 where Jesus left his disciples and they were gazing up, looking at him, which was proof of his, amen, return, because immediately as they were looking, two men in white apparel said to them, why are y'all gazing? This same Jesus that you saw him leave is going to come back the same way. And I don't know about you, that ought to be helpful to us. That I shouldn't look for Jesus down here. But I'd expect him to be up there somewhere in the clouds. And so I'm glad that Paul goes forth to let us understand, brothers and sisters, that he is coming back. But are we going to be ready? Amen. Are we getting ourselves prepared for this coming? Or are we just taking it for granted that, oh yes, he's going to show up, but the scriptures declare that we ought to be getting ready. And so I see here, first of all, that Paul wants us to rest our concerns. Look at what he says in verses 13 and 14. He first of all tell you them, I don't want y'all to be, amen, not knowing. He said, he used the word ignorant, and ignorant is not a put out. That means that you don't understand. And so Paul says concerning them which are asleep, that you don't have to grieve as those without no hope. And I know sometime in our human frame, we will go through that process. And it's good that we do, but don't grieve as those that have no hope. Because Paul immediately tells us if we believe, and think about what he says. He's inclusive of all believers, that if we believe that Jesus died and rose again, here it is, even so them that sleep in Jesus will God bring with, if that's not telling us that he's coming back, and he's going to take somebody with him, then we need to re-examine the text, because Paul says in a conditional way, if we believe. And I wonder, do we still believe that Jesus died, and not only died, but he rose again? But how about those saints who have left off the scene, who Paul suggests they are asleep in Jesus? Now that gives an indication that they're resting. Amen. That if you sleep, you have some expectations of what? Waking up again. And thank God for a sleep that he can give us. I like what the writer in Hebrews suggested. There's a rest that remains for the people of God. And I don't know about you, that when my life shall end, that I have a place to rest. And I do believe from labor to reward. And I believe Paul was resting their concerns. Because he knew somebody was troubled. He knew somebody had a hard time with mama leaving, with daddy leaving, with brother, sister, children leaving. Paul had to address this and put their fears to rest. Because he had to bring them back to where they should be if we believe that Jesus died. Church, do you still believe that he died and rose again? I told you that really ain't the end of the story. The story ends when he returns. And we ought to expect him to come back one day. But this text is so helpful because it brings to rest in our minds that I don't have to worry if I die. That I'm covered. Long as I die in the Lord. Because he did say that, listen, those who sleep in Jesus will God bring with him. Him is Jesus. And so I'm glad Paul suggests that we need to be reminded that don't get yourself in anxiety. Don't worry yourself, stress yourself out. If you know they were in the Lord, they are in good hands. And so I'm glad that Paul rests their concern, but then he reassures their concerns. He says that for this we say unto you. And look at how he says, by the word of the Lord. The day which are alive. Here it is now, just by chance, if we are still alive when Jesus returns. I don't know if we will be, but just by chance. It says that we which are alive and remain until the coming. There it is, the coming of the Lord shall not prevent those who are asleep. So I'm not going to stop my mother or my father, whoever it is that's sleeping in the Lord. I can't prevent them. Because immediately Paul says, for the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout. Now this is the power of his return, as we see right here, that when he descends, the same one that also ascended, he's going to descend again one day. And when he does, there's going to be a shout. And this part I love, that it's going to be only those who in the Lord who's going to hear this shout. That archangel is going to do it with his voice. And when he does, it's going to be like an alarm clock to those who are asleep. Amen. Isn't it wonderful how God is fixing this? That the believer has nothing to worry about, dead or alive. You're in good hands. And isn't it good that Paul says that the Lord himself, and I'm glad he says the Lord himself. I told you last week, it ain't going to be no counterfeits. It's going to be the originator. It's going to be the author, the finisher of our faith. And he is going to descend from heaven and look out, going to be in the clouds. And this is the part that we ought to love, because he reassures them that one of these days the Lord is coming. And then there's going to be a trumpet that's going to sound. Amen. The trumpet of God. And when that trumpet sounds, look at what the text says, the dead in Christ. Not going to rise last. We ain't going to prevent them, but they going to rise first. And isn't that wonderful how God has this plan? That when we find ourselves worrying and in doubt, God comes along to assure us that I got all things covered. Everything has been done, and I have prepared it, that when the time shall come, that those who have confessed belief in me, and they have led and lived these lives, and now they have died in me, that guess what? They're going to rise first. And we that are alive are not going to prevent it from happening. Because the good thing is this, that he now shows us the comfort of this, that those of us who are still alive, amen, and remain, and that tells me, brothers and sisters, somebody's going to still be here when Jesus returns. But I don't want to be those that get left behind. Because I got to tell you that somebody's going to be left behind. But there's some who going to remain who have what? Been in Jesus. And this is where we see that power of his return. They're going to be caught up together with them who have already died in him. And do anybody know that Paul says in 1 Corinthians 15 and 51, he says, behold, I'll show you a mystery. For we are not all asleep, but we all shall be changed. And I love that we're going to be changed in the twinkling of an eye. I thought you ought to know this, brothers and sisters, that when this time shall come, God has it all worked out. And isn't it wonderful that the alive who are in him, the dead that are in him, all going to be caught up together. And guess what? They're going to meet the Lord in the air. And I know this text sometimes seems to be one of those funeral texts, Dr. Wade, but the church of today needs to be reminded that the Lord is coming back one day. And I don't know about you, I see power in his return. Why did I say power? Because when he comes, he's changing us. Because listen, that old mortal that I now live in is going to be changed in mortality. Listen, those bodies that were corruptible are going to be incorruptible. And we're going to be housed with our new body. Make you think about Paul in 2 Corinthians chapter 5, where he says that this earthly house of this tabernacle, listen, if it shall be desired, we got another building. And it's eternal in the heavens. And guess what? It ain't been made by my mom or my dad's hands, but it's eternal in the heavens. And I don't know about you, I said sometimes we just urge and we moan to be clothed upon that body. Because do you not know that's a perfected body? A body that has not experienced death, sickness, or pain, but it's going to be a body that's going to be placed on us when Jesus returns. And I don't know about you, but I'm glad that Paul suggests in the text, amen, that we who are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds. Because he says in the clouds, because when Jesus left here, amen, he disappeared in the clouds. Amen. Some might suggest that this cloud may be just a cloud of witnesses. But listen, I don't know, but all I know is that we're going to meet him according to the text in the cloud. But here's the good news of how the story is. Amen. We're going to meet the Lord in the air. I told you that he's going to be, amen, elevated in the air for all who are in him to see him. Amen. To go home and be with him. Now listen, the good news is we shall be ever with the Lord. It's right there in verse 17. Think about that part. We shall ever be with the Lord. That means there's no coming back. That means that we are going to be with him always. I'm so glad that the Lord said when I come to receive you, I'm coming to take you to be with me. And my brothers and my sisters, that's where our eternal life is going to be with the Lord. That's why I'm so glad for the power of his return. It's good to know that these old bodies ain't been designed for heaven. They've been designed for this earth. They're just earthly. They've been made of dust. And I'm so glad that God in the beginning, when he formed man out of the dust of the earth, he breathed into that man the breath of life, and he became a living soul. I just believe he just designed us for this terrestrial place. That one of these old days, we had a new body to be clothed upon. Everything that eyes haven't seen, ears heard about, neither have it entered into the heart of man what God has in store for those that love him. I wonder right now, is there anybody in the house that loves the Lord? Is there anybody in the house that can't wait to see him? That's where the plan. One of these old things, Jesus is coming back. Are you looking forward? Are you anticipating? Are you expecting this? I'm so glad the Lord made it clear. He don't want us to be confused. He don't want us to be misinformed. But he wants us to believe that same Jesus who went up to heaven is returning one day. I got a witness. Somebody today ought to be expecting. Somebody today ought to be like those in the text. When he shall come, we shall be caught up. That means we're going to be raptured. We're going to meet the Lord in the air. Isn't that all right? Anybody glad that when we take our flight, I don't know, and I'm not concerned that I'm going to have wings, but all I know is going to be caught up to meet the Lord in the air, and it's a good thing that I'm going to be caught up to meet him in the air, because I'm going to see Jesus as he is. I'm going to look upon his face. I'm going to see the one who died for us. I'm going to see the one who went to the grave. I'm going to see the one who got up early the third day morning. Anybody glad? Anybody happy? One of these old days, we're going home to be with the Lord. I don't know about you, but I'm going up to yonder. Can I say it again? I'm going up to yonder. Why am I going? I'm going to see the King. Anybody here want to see him? Anybody here want to worship him? Yes. Ain't all right. Yes. But I'm glad. I'm so glad. And there's going to be power in his return. He's going to change us. He's going to transform us into our heavenly state. I'm glad we're going to a place of no more. No more sickness. No more death. No more birth. No more sorrow. Now listen, the former things of this life, they're going to pass away. And I don't know about bless you. I'm looking for that day. And I'm not worried about what state I'm going to be in. If I die, He's going to wake me up one day. When He wakes me up, listen, we going on up to be with the Lord. Isn't that good news? Yes, Lord. We thank Him. Amen. For the fact that He's returning. So therefore, let us remember those words in verse 18. Let's keep comforting one another. He says with these words. Amen. Encourage your brother or sister to hang in there. Tell them Jesus ain't forgotten you. He's coming back. Amen. And when He come back, you're going to go with Him. And you'll forever be with the Lord. God bless you, saints. And let us just hold on to that belief. And thank God for the return of our Savior. Because it's a done deal. It's happening. And guess what? The devil in hell ain't going to stop it. Jesus is on the way back. And I'm glad He's in wait mode, my brothers and sisters. Because He's waiting for the Father to say, son, go and get your bride. Amen. That's the church. Go and get those that belong to you. Those that have committed their life to you. Amen. Go and get them because it's time for you to have your bride with you. Amen. I thank God today. Amen. For the return of our Savior. Because He's coming back, saints. And I know this might be a tired story, but listen, it's a good story. That's what gives us our hope. To keep on running, to keep on pressing. Knowing that after a while, listen, payday is coming. Amen. And God bless you. We're going to, at this time, extend the invitation to discipleship. There might be someone that is here today.